Well, we are only a few days away from the NFL draft and all the draft speculation, at least for number 10, ending as we'll know who the Chicago Bears are selecting. A surprise position is probably higher up on the draft need list than what many Bears fans have talked about over the course of the season. We'll talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. And yeah, man, hey, the draft day, it's almost here. We're getting closer and closer when it comes down to it, man. And you know, a lot of people are waiting anxiously to see what the Chicago Bears do. Do they make a gamble in trying to trade up in the 2025 draft? Do they gain more assets in trading back in the first round in the 2025 draft? A lot of that comes down to how the draft board shakes up. In between the rumors of Shedeur Sanders and other players going higher or anything like that, how that could affect the Bears draft board. I do think Dart as well is another player in that second round that could affect the Chicago Bears draft board as well. There's a lot of fluidity still around this NFL draft, right? This is not one of those years we're going into feeling extremely confident about what most of the teams in the top 10 are doing. Like, a lot can shake out in this draft. And then, of course, that has ripple effects throughout the draft as well. And that's where a lot of Bears fans are questioning, like, what are the Bears going to do? Like, they're going to do something like Tyler Warren at number 10, right? It's going to be somebody lucky like Will Campbell or Ashton Jeanty falls to number 10 and clears that up for the Chicago Bears. Or none of those guys going to be there on the board, and the Bears trade back, gain more assets, maybe take a Mikael Williams, right? There's a lot of options right now out there for the Chicago Bears. And I, for one, have told you this multiple times, guys. I feel like this is the best place to be in, right? Because the Bears are in a place right now where they can focus on whoever they have number one on their board, depending on a lot of different scenarios. Let those scenarios play out. And they could be in a spot to where, hey, the guy falls to us at number 10, we're fine there. Or hell, we could trade back, still get an amazing talent at a position of need, while gaining more assets in this draft. That there's a lot of other prospects that make a lot of sense in different rounds for us, that, hey, we can get an additional second or third. Hell, even if we can get back in the fourth round, there's some players that definitely come down to that and can help the Chicago Bears. So the Bears sit in a really good place, man. And I think that's a great thing and a great tool and assets for the Chicago Bears as well, to be here in that spot to where a lot of things could go there for the Chicago Bears. So overall, like, I'm not nervous about anything in this draft, right? Like, it's not one of those things where I'm overly obsessive about the draft this year either. Like, it just comes down to, like, I think that the Bears are going to get some really damn good prospects. They all really fit what the Bears need, and that's the most important thing here, is the needs, right? The Bears have an opportunity to get a lot of their absolute needs settled in. Now, they have some opportunities, well, to get some luxury positions, which maybe where they start off at, right? Well, but they have an opportunity for that. And, we'll get into a little bit of that. We got 2 voicemails I want to get into today that touch on one of those aspects of things. But, mocks are going to be at an all-time high. We had a voicemail from Arifa Sa on Saturday talking about being all mocked out. I'm kind of like, I almost dropped another mock this week, just kind of like a final mock draft. But you know what? I mean, listen, we're 3 days away from the NFL draft, bro. Like, at this point, we can just wait it out and see how it's going to be. But that doesn't mean the speculation stops, right? And one of the things that came out, this one from Eric Lambier, is that the Chicago Bears surprisingly have wide receiver higher up on their list than what a lot of people are talking about. Now, we know that we made acquisitions of Zacchaeus and Devin Duvernay, right, which are decent acquisitions for the Chicago Bears. Make no mistake about it. I think that Zacchaeus could be a really good acquisition for the Chicago Bears team. I think he could do really good work at that slot position. But apparently there's some internally within the Chicago Bears that have a slot receiver higher up on the list. Now, I don't think he's going to be drafted until maybe the 3rd round or the 5th round, right? And you look at the players that the Bears have met with in that area: Kyle Williams, Isaiah Bond, Trey Harris, Jalen Lane, right? These are all players that the Bears have met with that can go with either the 3rd or the 5th round that all can make some sense for the Chicago Bears. You guys know, I've talked about it. My favorite guy out of that list, at least, is Isaiah Bond. I think if you can get Isaiah Bond in here with the Chicago Bears, man, that is basically exactly what you want, in my opinion. There as the slot receiver, you get another very young guy as well, right? A young guy who could really do some really good work for you in that slot, can grow with Rome, can grow with DJ Moore. And I think that would be a really good spot and area for him. You get him there in that 3rd round. I'm not too mad at that when it comes to Isaiah Bond. And so we know, like I've said it many times, Ben Johnson, and under his, when he's coaching teams, the slot receiver is one of the most productive, statistical-wise, members of the offense, right? In one of the skill positions. So nailing that slot receiver really good, like that's going to be an important thing for the Bears. You look at Isaiah Bond last year at Texas, 540 yards, 5 touchdowns, right? That's really good production for him and what he can do. He had an average of 15.9 yards per reception as well. They even used him a little bit in the rushing game. Only 4 carries for 98 yards, but 1 touchdown is there as well. And I see that as a player that absolutely could do some work under Ben Johnson. It really comes down to how they view what they already have here, right? Tyler Scott is a very important part of that evaluation process as well, because if they just aren't high on Tyler Scott, which at this point wouldn't surprise me, right? Like, no slight to Tyler Scott. I still think Tyler, I want him to see and get more opportunity, but he has to earn it, especially with the new coaching staff. And if they come in here and they're already kind of at the point now where they don't believe much in Tyler Scott, I mean, getting a guy like Isaiah Bond could do wonders really for the Chicago Bears. So I think that, you're going to see at least one draft selection in this draft, if not multiple, where you're like, okay, didn't expect the Bears to go that way, right? Like, but, Isaiah Bond's that guy that, despite what they've done here in the offseason, I think could make a lot of sense for the Bears, right? And I do think guard is still high on the list for the Chicago Bears, front office as well. Like, not as high as tackle. I do think tackle is going to take the priority there for sure, right? But I do think that they could look at it with, like, Joe Thuney, right, as being a guy that's a veteran. Now, I think I've said it before. I think that he should get an extension as long as he come in and plays well. I wouldn't be surprised at all, right? But I do think that when you look at guys like Dylan Fairchild, right, Jonah that they brought in here as well, I think these are all guys that you can look at and say, hey, the Bears are still definitely looking at guard here, and that could be to add, whether it's depth, to maybe take a future prospect or whatever it is. I think on day 3 there's some really good guys there as well that for the trenches the Bears could absolutely look up on as well. Guard being there higher on the list than I think a lot of people are talking about right now, doesn't really surprise me, because again, Ryan Poles wants to have a succession plan. He wants to keep making sure that we have solid, and coming in here, if you do draft a rawer guy and they get to play behind Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney and learn something, that's not bad at all there either, right? So I think guard's there. Defensive line, depending on how the first round shakes out, right? Defensive line is probably definitely going to be addressed in the 2nd round, right? The way that I view it is this: in the 1st round, you have your offensive tackle, running back that you can go, and I think that if they go tackle in the 1st round, which I still think is probably the more likely scenario, you're going to go running back, defensive line in the 2nd round. Then 3rd round, you may double back on the offensive line or go something different, right? So, but I think defensive line is definitely a player as well. When you look at some of the players that the Bears have met with, Shamar Stewart, right? He's a guy that could be there in the 2nd round, that could be really big for the Chicago Bears there in addressing that edge, right? But also the depth at the edge and the tackle are both things that are really good that they're going to be looking at to add as well. So don't overlook like a defensive tackle being there as well for the Chicago Bears. So there's a lot that's going on here, right? The 1st round pick, though, I think that we're pretty safe in saying it's going to be either left tackle or it's going to be running back. Of course, people have asked about Tyler Warren, and that's been a conversation there as well, right? But I think look, when you look at it, Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks are 2 of the guys that maybe have the fewest questions, right? Will Campbell and the arm length still is a thing there for Kelvin Banks as well. My thing with Kelvin Banks, actually, we got a voicemail. I'll get into it. Like, I'm not as high on Kelvin Banks as some other people. You know, of course, my guy I'd love to see the Bears draft is Armand Mbao, but it seems like he may not fall there to the Chicago Bears. But, you know, running back is still on the menu there. There's still a very big possibility for this Bears team as well in this draft is going after the running back. And it seems like things are pointing more and more towards the Bears. You know, that could be if Jeanty's there at number 10, they're probably going to pick Jeanty. The question is, and I think this will tell a lot about the way that the Bears personally have viewed the running back room, is that if Will Campbell and Jeanty are on the board at 10, I don't think there's really any big chance of that happening. Personally, one of those guys are going to be gone. But if for some chance, some shake of luck and fate that they put that Jeanty and Will Campbell in there at number 10, it will be super interesting to watch what the Chicago Bears do there, because I think that's going to be something that could be absolutely crazy for this team and how it comes down. But listen, the draft week is exciting. The NFL draft is exciting, right? And, the possibilities are really endless, especially for a GM like Ryan Poles, who's not afraid to take players early, who's not afraid to draft players that maybe people didn't necessarily have when it comes down to that. All those things are there. But I think that the way that the draft is going to go for this team, it's going to go a way that a lot of people don't expect. And, I don't mind that at all, right? I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying expect the unexpected. If you are locked in, right? And I've told people before, some people are like, Jeanty's the absolute need. We must get him by any means necessary, right? Or for any player of that matter. Don't do that, because this is a team in a front office that has already, with lesser assets and lesser important at some of those things, have not necessarily done and gone even the position that a lot of analysts and mocks thought that the Chicago Bears would go. So this is going to be a fun draft. We're going to get to cover it here live at Chicago Bears Central. It's only we can do, because who do it better than Chicago Bears Central. But with that said, man, I got a couple of voicemails over the weekend. I like to play catch up, clear out the mailbag a little bit going into the week. So we got two. This one's from Thaddeus.
Hey, what's up, Cognac boys? What's up, Hey? What's up, man? This is Thaddeus, man. South side of Chicago, man. And I want to talk about, man, what if the Bears just stay pat? What if they just can't, what if they just keep their number 10 pick, man? And so I was thinking, right, let's just say Jeanty off the board and all the big names that they were, mocked to, that they were off the board. And so the Bears just had to pick. And I would say, me personally, I would hope that they will, if Jalen Walker is there, just get the edge, man. Get the edge. Get the best edge. Michael Williams. Now, the only reason why I don't go offensive tackle there, because I think the other one that could be there will be Kelvin Banks. And I seen a clip where Michael Williams, man, he was destroying Banks, man. It was like Kelvin Banks was like, man, I don't know, man. He was treating him like a rag doll, man. I don't know, man. He was falling on his knees, and I don't know if I have PTSD seeing that shit from the coach game. But Kelvin Banks, I mean, he's good, but man, he stay on the ground a lot, man. I'm not even sure about him. But check this out. If Michael Williams or Jalen Walker's not available, and James Pierce is the only one left, the edge, I would like to trade down to either Dallas or Seattle and pick up James Pierce or Kelvin Banks at that point. And then I figure that next pick, we get our second round, let's just go ahead and get that running back and then get that offensive tackle. Because truth be told, if the good offensive tackles are gone, they're going to have to sit behind somebody anyway. So I don't know why I'm hearing all these fans talk about get the offensive tackle. But if they ain't playing, they just like Imagachi. They just sitting back, man. They're just on the bench. And they're just going to get better. Yeah, it's good to have them in the pipeline, but you can get them in the pipeline in the second round. Let's get somebody that's going to be impactful to the team. I mean, I'm team Jeanty, but I'm also an edge guy, man. I think we should just get another edge, another lineman, somebody that's going to be impactful, in 2025. That's what I say. That's just my opinion. This is Thaddeus, man. Chicago up, bear down, brother.
What if the Bears stand pat at number 10? Listen, you mentioned Kelvin Banks. Mikael, like there's a lot of options that the Bears can go, right? And I think that standing pat is still the best thing for this team. I don't think that this team should, at this point, should package the assets, send out future assets to move up in this draft. That's just not where I stand right now in this draft. I think you want to stay there at number 10 where you are. I think that's perfectly fine. There's no reason to try to, maybe you can move up a spot, but I think still the most likely thing is moving down for the Chicago Bears, maintaining the assets that they have while, gaining more potentially. But I don't think the Bears are going to trade up for like a Jeanty. I think that the running back talent is too deep in this draft to try to trade up for a Jeanty where, he's the clear best running back and the favorite running back in this draft, but still some damn good running backs that would be the first running back off the board in a lot of other drafts. Now, as far as Kelvin Banks, right? I said it before, right? And this is why I didn't talk about it earlier in the segment is that Kelvin Banks, he's better than Braxton. I want to be clear. I want to always make sure that I say that. He is better than Braxton Jones. But he has some of the same concerns as Braxton Jones, right? And I think that's the part that kind of scares me on Kelvin Banks. But hey, if the Bears, the thing comes down to trusting Dan Rouchard, trusting Ben Johnson, trusting Ryan Poles. If they look at this guy in Kelvin Banks and those concerns aren't as big for them, and they feel very comfortable drafting him there, cool. That's what you want to do. But I think that the thing that I always go back to, that's what's special really about this draft. And I say that all the time, and I really, truly mean that, is that the Bears could go a lot of different ways, man. And when you look at these mocks, like everything, there's so many things that are up in the air, right? Is Will Campbell the first tackle off the board? Is it Armand Minbal that's the first tackle off the board? Where does Ashton Jeanty go when it comes down to it, right? Like all these things are all up in the air. Do the Chicago Bears do something crazy like Will Johnson at number 10, right? Like those type of things. There's so much. That's why, like, while I do mocks and things like that, I never want to get locked into thinking just one player is the solution for the Bears or just one player is the route that the Bears should go. Because there's so many places that they could go that still end up being the right decision, and that's the key thing in this one, right? So that I think we're in for a very interesting draft, not just from the Bears, but overall. I think there's going to be a lot of movement in this draft from teams. It may come after pick 10, right? I think after 10 or 12, you could see a lot of movement there towards the middle and end of the first round as teams try to maneuver up or down to get their guys or look at value, things like that. But I think this could be a draft where we see a lot of movement. See where things shake out there. But all right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Keys.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Keys on this lovely Sunday, this Easter Sunday, man. Hope all is well. You guys enjoying the time with your families. Let's get to it. So we are 4 days before the draft, and the days get closer, the more and more I get excited. But I really believe after it's all said and done, I think Ben Johnson has high faith in Braxton Jones, which still shocks the hell out of me. But I think if Will Campbell and Mason Graham are not there at 10, I think it'll be. And Ashton Jeanty isn't there at 10. I really believe if he's available, they're going to take Tyler Warren at 10. I see a lot of things that Tyler. He reminds me of a poor man's Kettle from San Francisco, where Kittle could block his ass off, still can, and he can catch the ball too, and he can get away from you, and he's athletic just like Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren can block, but he's not like a Colston Loveland, in my opinion, or even a Mason Taylor. You know what I'm saying? But athletically, the boy is a Swiss Army knife. And if we go back a couple months ago, where Dennis Allen mentioned, like, hey, he would be a tough guy to cover, I think that right there says a lot about what Ben Johnson's first pick is going to be. And then, as we go into the second round, my guesstimation, the guy that I would pick at running back, and all said and done, it's got to be Quinshon Judkins, man. Everything about him, and like the more and more I see and the more of the fit, because I look more for at fit versus like who's the more dynamic, I still believe like because of the year Travion Henderson had, it was a result of getting Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins built a lot of things because the year before that, Travion had some injuries. Just like reminds me a little bit of J.K. with him, but just more speed. So Quinshawn would be a better fit for the team. And then that other second-round pick, they probably go defensive tackle with Derek Hartman. And that third-round pick is either going to be a wide receiver or a safety. So, but Tyler Warren, man, if we get Tyler Warren, we're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. I don't think they necessarily going to trade Cole Kmet right now, but it could end up being that eventually in the future. But I wouldn't, because that just adds more pass catchers to, have on your team. But let me know what you guys think. Chi-town up, bear down.
All right, Tyler Warren at 10. Here's the thing, right? The thing that I look at it as is that you want to solve a need that high up in the draft. Tyler Warren is great, right? And that's why I say I never want to crap on Tyler Warren. And I do think, like, to fight against my own point, like, one of the things is that Tyler Warren can line up in the slot sometimes. And we know how much production comes from the slot. From Ben Johnson, you can line him up in the slot. We already know the versatility he brings at the tight end. Like, that's why when Dennis Allen said that thing of scheming for him could be very dangerous, that could be why he ends up, if he is the selection, that would be one of the reasons why. But I think we have a perfectly good tight end in Cole Kmet that, yeah, he took some steps back last year in not being utilized, not being out there in certain snaps. I think Ben Johnson can get Cole Kmet right back to being one of the better tight ends in the game of football, right? But I think when it comes down to, you said something that kind of informed a lot of other things. You said Ben Johnson's pick. This isn't just Ben Johnson's pick. This is Ryan Poles' pick. And we know that Ryan Poles is all about value, right? Value, talent, those type of things. And we'll see what happens when it comes down to it, right? Overall, I think that, like I said in the last voicemail, there are going to be some surprises in this draft. There are going to be a lot of surprises, I think, overall in this draft. Some from the Bears, some from other teams. But if Tyler Warren is the pick there at 10, cool. All right, cool. Now, what are you doing at the other spots? Much like I said with running back. Now, running back is kind of a more clear need under what Ben Johnson does. I think we have a really good wide receiver room. Not great, right? We'll see how things develop to turn that into a great wide receiver room. But I think when you come down to it, like, we'll see, man. Tyler Warren is a really good player, and he's a very versatile player, and he's a very special player as well in this draft. And that uniqueness could be what pushes him over the top, and the Chicago Bears take him. It absolutely could be what happens there. I don't know how confident I feel in that, but we'll see. As far as Quashon Judkins, that's one of my favorite guys in this draft. I think he makes a lot of sense. He's like a bigger, David Montgomery. I think that he could be utilized extremely well under a Ben Johnson offense. I think Ben Johnson can get the most out of him, but there's damn good running backs all over this draft. And the Bears are going to walk away with one of those running backs. The key thing is getting the guy that doesn't turn into the bust. The last thing you want to do, right, is in a draft that's deep out of position, you draft that position and you get the one player that does not work out at that position. Let's look, knock on wood. You don't want to see that happen, right? But overall, it's going to be an exciting time. It's going to be an exciting week here with Chicago Bears Central. So make sure you guys stay in tune with us. You can follow us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. But that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.